Good morning, student. Today, in chapter number 3, we will cover our topics administration and third century crisis. Now, first of all, I am telling you about the administration of the vast Roman Empire. The vast Roman Empire was controlled and administered with the help of urbanization, means urban people. All the territories of the empire were organized into provinces and were subject to taxation. Carthage, Alexandria, Antioch, that lined the shores of the Mediterranean, uh, were the foundation of the imperial system. All these were the main cities which situated near the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. It was through these cities that the government was able to collect tax from the provincial countryside, which generated much of the wealth. So, with the help of these cities, the government also collected the taxes from the countryside, means villages. Okay, in this way, they generate their huge wealth. The show, the show, this shows that the local upper class was actively involved with the Roman state and administering their own territories and collecting the taxes from them. Throughout the second and the third century, the provincial upper classes provided experienced officers that administered the provinces and commanded the army. So the only one ruler or the Raja cannot hold the whole empire. Each king or the ruler also wanted the officials. So on that time, the rulers they were taking the help from their officers and their army. Thus, they because the new elite of the Roman Empire, they controlled the army and looked after the provincial administration. It means with the help of these officers, they controlled the army and looked after the whole administration at the provincial level. Provincial, the same as it is like today in this time, the whole the country is like divided into the states, same as it is on that time the whole empire was divided into the provinces. Provinces means like a as a state. In this time, we all the states have their own different administration at the state level, same as it is on that time. They had the different administration at the provincial level. They became much more powerful than the senatorial class because they had the backing of the emperors. Although, as I told you that senators, this class was also very rich and wealthy people, but the officials were also very wealthy because of the backing of the emperors. Emperor Gallienus consolidated their rise to power by excluding the senators from military command. He did this order to prevent control of the empire from falling into their hand. So he was the first emperor who excluded the senator from their military power. Now, these are the major cities: Carthage, Alexandria, Antioch. After that, in the cities, different villages, magistrate plus municipal councils, all they look after the cities. Meaning of Roman city. an urban center with its own magistrate, city council, and territory containing villages under its jurisdiction. The villages could be upgraded to the status of the city and vice versa, generally as a mark of favor from the emperor. Now, the advantages of living in the city of Roman Empire. Maybe on that time the people lived in the cities as well as they lived in the countryside or in the villages. But we saw that the people, those who lived in the cities, they took a different type of the advantages. See, the advantages of living in the city was that it might be better provided for during food shortage and famine in the countryside. When the disasters came, when there was a shortage of the food or the famines occurred in the countryside, on that time there was no food shortage in the cities. The cities had public baths and the urban population enjoyed a higher level of the entertainment. Now, our next topic is the third century crisis. The first and the second centuries were by and large period of peace, prosperity and economics expansion. The third century brought the first major sign of internal strain. From 230s, the empire found itself fighting on several fronts simultaneously. In Iran, a new and more aggressive dynasty emerged in 225, and within just 15 years were expanding rapidly in the direction of the Farad. It is in the famous rock inscription cut in three languages. The Shopper one, he was an Iranian ruler, claimed he had uh, annihilated a Roman army of 60,000 and even captured the eastern capital of the Antioch. Meanwhile, a whole series of the Germanic tribes, or rather tribal confederacies, um, we saw that the Almanani, the Franks, and the Goths began to move against the Rhine and the Danube, these two river frontiers, and the whole period from 233 to 280 saw repeated invasions of a whole line of provinces that stretched from Black Sea to the Alps and the southern Germany. The Romans were forced to abandon much of the territory beyond the Danube, while the emperors of this period were constantly in the field against what the Roman called barbarians. The rapid succession of the emperors in the third century, about 25 emperors in the 47 years, is an obvious that symptom of the strains faced by the empire in this period. So we saw the quick succession of the emperors. The 25 emperors in 47 years is a sign of strain faced by the empire in the third century. Thank you, student.